Welcome to the Sailor Moon Villain Decks.
Sailor Moon had her fair share of villains to deal with throughout the series, each with different plans and ploys to throw her way. One of the first major villains to enter the ring against Sailor Moon was Queen Beryl, who had an interesting story of her own, although slightly different depending on whether you read the manga or watched the anime adaptations of it. In the manga and Sailor Moon Crystal, Beryl is portrayed as a human in the ancient times of Earth. It's implied in a panel that she could have been a sorceress as she was hunched over what looks like a cauldron holding a staff. We learn that she was deeply in love with the past version of Mamoru, Prince Endymion, always watching him from the distance, with her describing her unrequited love as her dream. One day, Beryl's witness to a massive meteor shower in the sky. She immediately noticed that the sun looked a bit different, with it looking like a gas storm was taking hold. I guess people back then were not told not to look at the sun directly. Anyway, back to the story. The gas storm was covering a dark spot on the sun, which started to rain down onto the earth like meteors. Upon reaching Earth, the dark spot manifested into the darkness known as Metalia, who enticed Beryl to follow her with the promise of gaining enormous power and control over the Earth and the universe if she invaded the moon and took the silver crystal for herself. Empowered by the chaos that was Metalia, Beryl helps the creature in planting seeds of doubt in the people of the Earth against the people of the moon. Their lies are so powerful that it even brainwashes Endymion soldiers, the four heavenly kings. Successfully corrupting humanity, Beryl and Metalia invaded the moon and carried out their rebellion. Prince Endymion, who is untouched by the enemy's lies, helps defend the moon's inhabitants against his own Earth subjects. When Beryl notices him protecting Princess Serenity, she lambasts him for going against his own people and, in a fit of possessed lust for chaos, lunges towards Serenity with a sword. Endymion quickly moves to shield Serenity and is slayed in the crossfire. Sailor Venus notices the ambush and swiftly slashes Beryl, ending her story in the past life. Much later in time, Beryl is reborn on Earth. Her life leads her to eventually explore the North Pole, where she discovers some ancient ruins. Drawn to the depths, she comes across the remains of the Dark Kingdom. Giving in to a force magnetizing her to the area, she feels compelled to open a seal that would be holding Metalia at bay, releasing the beast from its entrapment and being corrupted once more, turning into Queen Beryl and regaining her past memories. Although released, Metalia is still heavily weakened from being sealed, and so Queen Beryl has the monumental task of trying to revive the demon. In order to do this, she needs the limitless power that only the Silver Crystal can deliver. Unfortunately, Queen Beryl has taken her new queenly name to heart and feels the need to delegate to her newfound servants, the reincarnated Four Kings, with mixed results. To save some face with the constant failure, in which we can't really say is 100% her fault, as she never actually is the one on the front line, she goes for the next best thing to the power of the Silver Crystal: energy from humans. The sporadic bursts of energy she doesn't collect herself, but delivers to Metalia, satiates the demon enough for it to issue her commands and eventually temporarily revives it. Metalia's brief resurrection showcases some shreds of humanity that possibly remain in Beryl, as while the creature has an outburst fantasizing about awakening after grasping the power of the Silver Crystal, possessing the planet and everything in the world belonging to it, Beryl looks taken aback and has a moment of pondering what the outcome of fully awakening Metalia will be. However, this concern may be from it conflicting with her own plans, as in the next scene, Queen Beryl's true nature is revealed as she states that she intends to betray Metalia and take the Silver Crystal and the planet for herself. Queen Beryl is still shown to carry her love for Endymion in the present, with her successfully convincing Metalia later on to not dispose of him, but rather allow her to keep him to be used. She is later shown to be relieved that he is finally on her side, albeit being under her control. When evil Endymion manages to secure the Silver Crystal, Beryl uses the opportunity to swoop in to claim both the crystal and the life of Sailor Moon. She makes her full intentions known of skipping Metalia's revival and utilizing the Silver Crystal's power to gain immortality and invincible might, taking control of the world as its queen, with Prince Endymion being by her side. Unfortunately, her fruitful explanation works against her as an infuriated Venus summons the Holy Sword and repeats history with some added frustration, opting to stab Belle through the stomach instead of slashing her. As a shocked Belle turns to dust, she reaches out to Endymion and reminisces about her past infatuation, fading into the darkness. Sailor Moon Crystal would opt to do the scene a little differently, with Queen Belle wearing a necklace enriched by Metalia's power, in which Sailor Moon manages to break after activating the Holy Sword. Belle then perishes. Now, onto the 90s adaptation. Belle's story shares some similarities with the manga version of herself, although there are some key differences. In the past, we learn from Endymion that Belle is a sorceress who is using the power of Metalia to conquer the Earth and Moon. She has a similar backstory to the manga in that she's been possessed by Metalia and works to brainwash humans on Earth against the Moon, although, unlike the manga, we don't see these events play out from her perspective. It's implied that while Belle is working together with Metalia, she also has individual ambitions of her own. Belle then leads the attack on the Silver Millennium with the brainwashed humans and Metalia and successfully manages to kill the Inner Senshi and cause destruction on the Moon. Upon seeing Princess Serenity, she tries to attack her, only to be thwarted by Prince Endymion. Questioning Endymion over why he would protect the Princess of the Moon when he is the Prince of the Earth, she promises him the reward of being king of both the Earth and Moon if he simply marries her instead. When Endymion tells Belle to snap out of being under Metalia's control, she threatens to kill him, with Metalia immediately following through and blasting a whirlwind of destruction at Serenity and Endymion. Belle is shown to take great joy at the death of Princess Serenity and does not even seem fazed at Endymion also being killed. Unfortunately for her, her joy is short-lived as Queen Serenity seals her, Metalia, and the forces of the Dark Kingdom away. In the present day, we see a revived Belle issuing commands to gather energy for their ruler with the eventual aim of finding the Silver Crystal. Even though most of the attempts to gain energy end up thwarted by the Sailor Senshi, with Queen Belle also punishing Jadeite and Nephrite for their failures, Belle still musters up enough to temporarily revive Metalia, but it is not enough without the power of the Silver Crystal. When Tuxedo Mask is battling Zoisite, his mask is forcefully blown off, revealing Mamoru's face to a very interested Queen Belle. Queen Belle's interest has peaked enough to summon Zoisite and Kunzite back. When quizzed by them over why they were summoned back, Queen Belle reveals that Metalia told her to not kill Tuxedo Mask and to bring him back to the Dark Kingdom instead. Whether or not that was an actual command issued by Metalia or just Belle's lust for Endymion being hinted at is up in the air. When Zoisite disobeys her command and ends up fatally injuring Mamoru, Belle ruthlessly disposes of him. 90s anime Belle is portrayed to be more ruthless than her manga counterpart, as we constantly see that she has no issue with discarding her minions when they don't carry out their tasks. Although we don't get a definite glimpse into her past love of Endymion like the manga and Crystal, we get little snippets of it throughout, like when she is over Mamoru's body and softly talks about him and Serenity's love being unrequited, and we see a close-up of her eyes looking solemn as if she's referring to her own experience. There's also a moment later on where she pits the possessed Endymion against Sailor Moon. When that fails and he rebels against her, protecting Sailor Moon from her attack and piercing her with a rose, history repeats itself, with Belle lamenting over Endymion protecting Moon when he could have become king of the world if he married her instead. The impaled rose starts emitting Mamoru's love for Usagi, destroying Belle's form, which in itself is the most tragic slap in Belle's face, being not only turned down by Endymion twice, but to be quite literally defeated by Endymion and Serenity's love. In shock and disbelief over Endymion firmly making his choice, she retreats in a rage back to Metalia, who she begs for power to destroy Sailor Moon once and for all. Metalia's power overwhelms Belle, who manifests into a newer ultimate combined form, Super Belle. Finally feeling powerful enough to rule the world and begin her domination, she's confronted by Sailor Moon, who taps into the power of the Silver Crystal and the power of her Senshi to obliterate Beryl and Metalia once and for all. So, that was Queen Beryl's story. Perhaps one of the more successful villains in the franchise in nearly reaching her ambitions not just once, but twice. Quite a worthy villain, wouldn't you say? Is she one of your favourites?
Beep boop. Queen Beryl, now registered to your Sailor Moon villain decks. See you next time.